This is one of my favorite books that I got to read this summer, With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, I believe. She is also the author of I Am Poet X, which won the Prince this past year, which was well deserved. And I loved I Am Poet X, so I was, I was a little hesitant about being like, oh, I love her so much. I didn't want to assume that this book would also be a really mind-blowing, like, gut punch, heart squeeze of a book, and it was. It totally was. So what I think, there's one theme that I saw very clearly from both of her books, that it's very much about young women of color. It's, in both cases from an Afro-Latina experience, trying to be okay with their sexuality and their desires and their, wants and needs to be in romantic and then sometimes in sexual relationships, and that not, and that being frowned upon by their community and by society, but also how ultimately the real message is like that that's okay and that those are totally beautiful and valid things for young women to want, and young women of color and young dark-skinned women of color to want, and just really beautiful and really powerful. The story is about a young woman who her freshman year of high school got pregnant. She decided to carry the kid to term, and now she has this wonderful baby girl who she adores. Some of it's about the difficulty of splitting custody and the weird sort of ownership that her baby daddy has of her without them wanting to date each other. A lot of it is about trying to negotiate high school when you're a young mother. And especially, as I alluded to before, trying to figure out if you can date and be a good young mother. It's very, very powerful, very, very meaningful. And also, it's not all about sort of like a lot of it is about like how do you grow up. It's very much a coming of age story, but it's also very much about her love of cooking and her love of food. And she is a very natural home chef. She just thinks of like all these crazy combinations of different flavors and will take a recipe and just sort of like flip it on its head with like non-traditional herbs and spices and, fruit. And it all sounds delicious. And I wish that she was real and I could go to a restaurant that she cooked at. And one of her big struggles is she takes this culinary arts class where what you really need to know are these very exact things of like, the exact temperature that you need to cook meat to, or the, how exactly you need to thaw something, like a lot of it's around safety, right? Food safety. But also, you are given an exact recipe and you're supposed to, execute it to the specifications that are in there, right? That's what they expect of you if you're gonna start being like a sous chef. And that's not what she does naturally, and that's not how she loves cooking. So, her trying to figure out if culinary arts is something that she really wants to do, and if she can still bring her love of food into, the rigid rules that exist in restauranting. So she's this fully fleshed, really real young person trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life, and just incredibly powerful and beautiful, and makes you feel all the feelings. And yeah, I am now officially, I already really liked her, but now I would officially say that I am an Elizabeth Acevedo fangirl, and I can't wait to see what she writes next. So if you haven't already read I Am the Poet X, I'm not going to book talk it right now, but you should check it out. And definitely also check out With the Fire on High.